Hello and welcome back to another video. In this video I'll be going over topology. Um, it's pretty much covers pretty much any 3D package you're using, so just wanted to check that out there. One thing though is if you are using Blender, I do recommend getting MeshLint, and I'll put that in the description below. And so I hear a lot of times that triangles and n-gons are completely bad, and non-manifold elements aren't good, and six-sided stars aren't good as well. But as I realized that a lot of times they do cause issues, but you can use them to your advantage, depending on your workflow and what you are aiming for. Most of the time, you do want to stick to quads in over pretty much triangles and not quads, n-gons. So let's take a look at quads. Okay, um, a quad is a four-sided polygon, and if you have a cylinder, what made up of quads, as you can see here, even though it looks like a triangle, it have actually got 4 points. What make up a triangle, and at the center here is another apparently a bad topology thing, but you can't help make them sometimes. So they are bad if they in certain places where you need them to animate because it can cause pinching, but it can actually help in certain areas if you have a face and you want like kind of a wrinkled up area where the just above the maybe around the cheeks or the lip, just above the lip, it can cause like a cool little pinching, what can actually make things look a little bit more realistic. But most of the time, you're going to want to, well, most of the time, if you're using modifiers and stuff like that, they can actually cause issues and with stuff going on. And I don't know if I said this, but having a cylinder what made up of quads can ruin your um, edge flow. But if you have a cylinder made up of triangles, it's fine. Same thing for n-gons and non-manifold elements. Each one of these also have problems with shading, and you have to find your own little workaway around to fix certain shading issues. A lot of times with quads, you use like the smoothing. Hang on, let's select all this. Give that flat shade and smooth, and then you can if we wanted to select this over here, we can do sharp, or and so on and so on. That's pretty much how you get rid of shading issues. Most of the time with quads, sometimes you need to add some bevels in there, or chamfers if you're coming from 3ds Max. Triangles are pretty bad when it comes to animating. They can deform the mesh in ways you don't want. Even though in game engines everything get converted to triangles. I actually want to go back to triangles again, and quads. When you're actually making a 3D model for a game, sometimes your textures can seem like they're out of line and there's some weird issues going on. I noticed that with Unity at one point. I'm not sure if it was a bug with them, but triangulating models before importing them into game engines can help. But if your 3D modeling package have the triangles, and well, every quad is pretty much made up of triangles, but you don't see it because that's under the hood of the programming side of things. Like OpenGL, pretty much, to make a polygon, it got to be quads, but not quads. To make a quad, codes it in a way of it being triangles. So everything pretty much get rendered as triangles, even though we see them as quads. Back to triangles. Triangles can, like I said earlier, they can be really bad for animating in certain areas where you've got to bend things, but on the other hand, they can actually help as long as you place the triangles in the right areas. As long as you haven't got a mesh, let's say you got a character, as long as your character isn't mostly made up of quads, and then have a stray triangle in a weird place near joints and parts what bend, it if you have got a triangle near parts where it going to bend and stuff, it can deform in weird ways you don't want. And I think there may be problems with paint weighting and stuff. I don't know. I haven't been down that road. But having triangles in certain areas can actually benefit it, and it can actually help to deform the mesh better. N-gons. N-gons are brilliant when you're trying to model something basic, or you just really don't care and you just want to make something look good, but you aren't worried about topology, and you're going to bake your textures and the detail from that. But there's a certain workflow you had to adjust yourself. I will kind of take you over that a little bit later. Mostly adding a edge split modifier helps quite a bit. Giving them bevels and stuff like that. You know, when you bevel things, sometimes things turn into n-gons. So if you got a if you're going to retopologize it anyway, and you will run into issues using n-gons, full stop. But you will eventually find a way that how you can actually use it to bake things without actually needing to worry going, oh, I need to make it quads or triangles and stuff. But saying about n-gons, certain applications cannot open up n-gons. Like if you have an n-gon and try to take it into X-normal, it'll freak out. You can actually triangulate things by going in edit mode, hitting Control T, and then it will bake it out perfectly fine. But I have noticed sometimes when you do convert things to triangles, you can actually have shading issues. There are different settings you can go through to tweak how it triangulates things. If you're having problems with your normals and stuff like that, I recommend doing that. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. Non-manifold elements are models with holes in, you know. Pretty much there's actually no thickness to this model, even though we see the outline and all that stuff. Technically in the real world, if you try to put water into this, it would leak. There isn't actually anything there. And trying to 3D print something like this, it won't work. I don't know if the program will freak out and won't do it at all, or what will happen, but I know there can be problems with 3D printing with this. And also I heard having like if you slapping glass or certain types of materials can actually not come out quite right if you're using non-manifold elements. But for the most part, for games it's very relaxed on non-manifold elements. I think that pretty much covers this whole part here. Each one of these have their own shading issues as well. You know, like n-gons can shade weirdly compared to quads. Triangles, if you if you add in modifiers and stuff like that, it will deform them completely differently, depending on the modifier. If you try to chuck a subsurf on a triangle, you know, it will make different patterns and stuff like that. So do keep an eye on it. Be aware of that. So move over to here. Alright. I can't remember what I wanted to do here. I guess I'll just select this cube. Hang on. So I'm going to actually I can select all of them. Subdivide a couple of times. Alright. This one over here, I'm going to turn into triangles. And I hit Control T to turn that into triangles, and here you have your different types of triangulation. And you can fiddle with these, find what one works for you if you're having problems by triangulating certain things. And if it isn't working for game engines and textures and stuff like that, or if you're having problems in XNormal and because you triangulated it, just go in here and change it up and see how that works. I have the problem with a scene on one of my normal maps going all the way down where the triangle was. I changed the triangulation and I didn't see any other problems with it. Like again, I was saying, trying to actually make a model out of this would be a nightmare. And let's see, right, another thing I wanted to do was dissolve sync, and just select this face here. Alright, I want to show you what happens if we apply a subsurf modifier on this. As you can see, each one is affected differently. Well, the end one would be. Hang on, let me delete some more of this stuff. Alright, so control. As you see, there's like a weird pattern here with the end gun. But yeah, if I did this over here, oh, what are you doing? Okay, yeah, well, still kind of doing the same thing, but the end guns can deform differently compared to quads. Triangles, you can actually see how it deforming differently. Non-manifold elements, if this was a little bit lower poly, well, sometimes it actually pulls it back in ways that you don't want. It isn't doing it on here, but sometimes it rounded out the edges, right? And sometimes when you have non-manifold elements, it will actually shrink it in a way that you don't want, and pretty much you have to fix it with another loop cut or so. So let's move on to the animation side of things, how it works over there. Layer 2. Alright. Well, okay. This one here is, it got 3 edge loops going around it. That's pretty good. You know, it adds a bit more deforming here, but yeah, you get pinch in here. So it isn't so flat here. On this one here, it's more flat, but a little bit better. And yeah, I only have 2 edge loops. This one over here have a triangle for this point here, and if we go around to the other side, exactly the same thing, but it don't have that awful pinching, and it actually has a bit more of a bend here compared to that. So that would be pretty good for like joints where they bend like a back of the kneecap, or the like the front of the elbow, or behind the elbow, well, the other side of the elbow. And let's move on to layer 4. Okay. Over here, I need to change my lighting. This only works in like a lit area. Well, I can do it in texture mode and you won't see anything, I don't believe. No. So this is more of a lighting issue and all that stuff. Right here you can kind of see there's this triangle, and it depends where you are with the lighting and stuff, you know, if you see it or not. The one on the right over here don't have that at all. You can go all the way around it and you won't have that problem. And over here, these are the high poly versions of these. These are just flat pieces of a poly, really. It's just one poly. And these both have endons. But the only difference with these is if we select these two parts here, move, hang on, let me turn snapping off. If we move these up, you can see how they're connected. And for this one, all I did was separate it. And that actually fixed the shading issue there. So you could actually just add a edge split modifier, so it breaks it up. The Engon actually don't cause any problems. The Engon is right bang in the center, right here, and that actually don't cause any problems. So it would took more time to actually try and make it a quad to just bake it out anyway. It isn't worth the hassle of trying fixing it up and stuff, because that's just waste of time. But yeah, you probably do want to add like edge split around there, because you're going to get this like you've got another Engon right here and stuff, as you can see, because all these vertexes were connecting up. Hang on, if I show you, like all these should be connecting up to here, and if we just move this up for a second, you can see the vertexes along here, and we just broke that, so it will actually give a better shading. So I hope this gives you a bit more of an understanding on how topology can be used, and not always bad. Topology isn't always bad. It depends on your method of what you're aiming for and what results you're going for. Pretty much for this floor, having that pinch there wouldn't really matter. If it's like off in the distance, isn't worth that hassle. If it's something you're going to see close up, then definitely worth fixing. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, or if I missed something, or if you've got any other opinions, what could actually help on workflow of topology and stuff like that, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching. Catch you later. Till next time.